Have you ever heard of a place where stones move all by themselves? No, this isn't a scene from a fantasy movie. This is a real phenomenon happening in a place with a rather ominous name, Death Valley. For decades, these sailing stones have been leaving long, mysterious tracks in the cracked, dry mud of Racetrack Playa, baffling scientists and sparking countless theories. Imagine this, a vast, flat, ancient lakebed surrounded by rugged mountains. The sun beats down relentlessly, and there, scattered across this surreal landscape, are rocks. Some small, some weighing hundreds of pounds, with distinct trails carved out behind them. It's as if they decided to go for a stroll when no one was looking. For years, people wondered what could possibly be moving them. Strong winds? Shifting ice? Maybe even something paranormal? The theories were as wild as the landscape itself. Some people thought it had to be hurricane-force winds pushing the stones across a slippery, muddy surface. But calculations showed that the wind speeds required to move the heavier rocks would have to be incredibly high, something rarely, if ever, recorded in the area. Others proposed that thick sheets of ice formed around the rocks in the winter, and as the ice melted and moved, it would drag the stones along with it. This seemed more plausible, but no one had ever actually seen it happen. The mystery of the sailing stones became a legendary part of Death Valley's allure. Visitors would come from all over the world, hoping to catch a glimpse of these nomadic rocks. For a long time, the stones kept their secret, moving only when they were completely alone, leaving behind only the evidence of their journey. So how did we finally crack the code? It took patience, modern technology, and a bit of luck. In 2011, a team of scientists from the Scripps Institution of Oceanography decided to solve this puzzle once and for all. They brought in 15 specially sourced rocks and fitted them with GPS units. Then they set up a high-resolution weather station to monitor the exact conditions at Racetrack Playa. And then they waited. For 2 years, nothing happened. The rocks sat perfectly still. The researchers monitored the data, visited the playa, and waited for the magic to happen. It seemed like the stones were camera-shy. But then, in the winter of 2013, the perfect and incredibly rare combination of events occurred. First, the playa received just enough rain to form a shallow pond, only a few inches deep. This doesn't happen often in one of the driest places on Earth. Then the temperatures dropped overnight, freezing the water into a thin, delicate sheet of window pane ice. This ice was thin enough to move freely but strong enough to maintain its integrity. The next day, as the sun came out, the ice began to melt and break up into large, floating panels. And this is where the magic happens. A light breeze, just a gentle wind of about 10 miles per hour, began to blow across the playa. This light wind was enough to push the massive sheets of ice, and as these ice panels moved, they acted like a fleet of tiny icebreakers, nudging the rocks in front of them. The rocks began to slide. The GPS units chirped to life, tracking their slow, deliberate movement. The scientists, who happened to be there at that exact moment, were able to witness it with their own eyes. They saw the stones gliding across the muddy bottom, pushed by the wind-driven ice, carving those famous tracks as they went. The movement was incredibly slow, almost imperceptible, just a few inches per minute. But over several minutes, some rocks traveled over 200 feet. What's so incredible is that it all depends on a perfect, delicate balance. You need just the right amount of water, a cold snap to create a thin layer of ice, and then a gentle breeze as the ice starts to break apart. If the ice is too thick, it will freeze solid to the ground. If the wind is too strong, it might just shatter the ice. It's a combination of conditions so rare that it might only happen once every few years, or even once a decade. So the mystery of the sailing stones wasn't solved by aliens or magnetic fields, but by a beautiful and subtle dance of natural forces: water, ice, and wind. The rocks themselves aren't alive, they are passengers on a temporary river of ice, driven by the gentlest of pushes. This discovery doesn't take away the magic of the place. If anything, it makes it even more special. It reminds us that our planet is full of wonders, governed by elegant and sometimes hidden processes. Next time you see something that seems impossible in nature, remember the sailing stones of Death Valley. The answer might not be supernatural, but it's likely something far more fascinating and intricate than we could ever imagine. It is a testament to the power of scientific curiosity and the incredible secrets our world is waiting to reveal. Racetrack Playa is a protected wilderness area, so if you ever have the chance to visit, please be respectful. Don't drive on the playa, as tire tracks can last for years and ruin the delicate surface. And definitely don't try to move the rocks yourself or take them as souvenirs. Let them continue their slow, silent journey for future generations to marvel at. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey to solve one of nature's greatest puzzles.